Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you see me for the first time, just an introduction. My name is Vicky, and I discuss, or in my profile, I talk about various opportunities in Africa. As Africa is starting to enter into a season of economic opportunities, many economic opportunities. It is important that we all as young people understand this because the change is happening at a speed, a very fast speed than we can all comprehend and we can all see. And so the reason why I created this platform, the reason why I started posting on this platform is so that people can be aware of these different opportunities that are hidden within documents that most people are unwilling to read or people don't really understand. So this is what we're going to be exploring in this live session today. Please do tell me if I'm audible in the comments. I'll appreciate that. Before we get started, so we will wait for a little few minutes for other people to join in. So probably 3 minutes should be enough. But in the meantime, we can get started in talking about different or what is the biggest game that is being played right now before we get into the topic of the day. As you're waiting for more people to join in, what is the game that Africa is playing right now? What is happening in Africa? Africa is changing, Africa is shifting very fast, and people are still stuck in the old Africa that didn't have opportunities. People are still stuck in the old Africa that is ruled by corruption, bad leadership, political instability. While those things still exist today, they still exist and we do not deny them. But the problem is now Africa is actually making changes. Changes are happening and people are still stuck in that old image of Africa. So the reason why I created this platform is so that I can come and educate people and come and sensitize people to say Africa is actually really changing right now, and it's changing faster than most people are realizing. Africa is changing faster than most people are realizing, and opportunities, there are so many opportunities everywhere and people don't realize this. So many documents that have been written quantifying all these opportunities that are waiting for people, me and you, normal people, to look at all these opportunities, look at all these problems and fill those gaps. I oftentimes say when a government releases documents, say for example, I'm in Botswana, they released some few documents, the NDB 12 documents, documents from the African Union. These documents usually are documents that are telling you where gaps exist. They tell you also the opportunities that exist. They also tell you the areas of investment, and they tell you the plan of these states, say the African Union or the specific country that you are in. They exist to tell you the vision of what they want to see. Now, the mistake that most of us Africans do, or I would say mainly in Botswana, is we think that once the government says, we're going to invest in this sector, or once the government says we aim to do this in the economy of our country, most people think that it's the job of the government. Like the government has to actively remove their money spending to do whatever it is that they've planned. But you need to understand that there are areas that they are going to actually do that. But most areas are reserved for the private sector, which is me and you. The private sector means that you can literally start a business and join into the private sector and start participating in the economy of your specific country. So that's the mistake that most people do, is they say, no, the government will do everything. I don't have to do anything. The government will take care of everything. But we tend to forget that there is actually a space for us, or an area that we need to play a role in terms of achieving the vision that the country has painted. So, like for example, here in Botswana, uh, one of the visions of the current government is to have an export-led and private powered economy, meaning the economy of Botswana has to be powered mainly by private institutions or entities. So many young people don't realize this. They just hear private entities. They don't know what it means. Private simply means that businesses that are started by people in the country, as well as maybe foreigners who come into the country. They start up these businesses and then they start participating into the economy of the country. This is what we have seen happen in China when China was down there. For China to be where it is today, for China to rise up to where it is today right now, it was collectively people being empowered to start businesses, to start small businesses, to identify small opportunities and start businesses in those areas or in those sectors. That is why we see a lot of manufacturing plants, processing plants, a lot of companies selling different products from China. It is because, and the reason why China is what it is today is because back then when it was still struggling, a lot of people, back then when it was still struggling, I mean to say, people were sensitized. People were told, this is what we're trying to do. So we need your active participation in this. So a lot of people started opening businesses, private businesses, joint ventures. They started getting into manufacturing, into processing at a very small level, and they grew until they became billionaires and millionaires. So it's the same thing right now. If you go, you can go to a website called the Future Trends Group. So you go to the Future Trends Group. In the Future Trends Group, they have painted a vision of Africa, where they see Africa in the next 10 years by 2035. And it is being spearheaded, or it's been led by the special envoy to the president, the special envoy to the president in foreign relations and economic development, which is Mr. Fazam Kamalabadi. So some of you might have seen him. So I have went through most of his content, listened to the man speak, and I could listen to the vision that he's painting, not just for Botswana, but also for the whole of Africa. And he likes to call it the surprise rise of Africa, just like there was the surprise rise of China. He's saying Africa in the next 10 years is going to rise in a way that is going to surprise both the world and both its own people. And so most people are not realizing this. And it's not just words that he's saying. Yes, sir. It's not just words that he's saying. We are seeing governments actively making strides and making efforts into that direction. That is why I started this platform, so that everyone can be educated, everyone can know what is happening in Africa, what are the different opportunities that exist, how can I start participating as early as today or as early as now in all of this, right? So today we're going to be focusing specifically on waste management. In our first live, we talked about logistics opportunities. In our second, we talked about agricultural opportunities. Now this is our third live session where we're going to talk about African waste management. And so as I come like this, first things that we need to note is we'll be coming here to share ideas. The ideas that are to be shared here today are not to be treated as professional advice. Every opportunity that will be discussed here, it will be from verified facts, to be from reports, research reports that are verified from verified and trusted entities. So this is just to guide you, to give you an idea. And once you get an idea that intrigues you, I would encourage you that you go on your own, you dig deep. If you need help with research or digging deep, you can always reach out to me. My number is in the bio, so you can always reach out to me. Say, I'm interested in this area. Can you help me research more about that area? So I can help you do that. So, like I said, everything that is said here is not professional advice. This is just to guide you, just to create a room where we can all come together, discuss all these different opportunities, find something that interests you, and then you go and read and do your own due diligence on all these different opportunities. So with that said, and with that gotten out of the way, let us get started. So every single time when I start my live sessions, what I usually like to do is I like to lay a foundation where we try and understand basically the topic that we're talking about, right? So I'm going to be reading out some facts. These are from documents like the UNEP Global Waste Management Outlook from 2024, UNEP Africa Waste Management Outlook, African Development Bank reports, and other World Bank reports. So we need to understand the data. Where does waste how does waste look like currently in Africa and in the world, right? To quantify, to have the statistics. Before we can get into the opportunities, we need to understand that. So first things first, let us quantify, or let us look at the outlook. What is happening currently when it comes to waste? When we are talking about waste, usually we focus mainly on what is called municipal solid waste. Municipal solid waste is any waste that is generated by the activity of a human being. We all know that wherever a human being stays, there is bound to be waste. So usually in most reports, when they quantify when they talk about waste, they are usually talking about municipal waste, which is abbreviated for MSW. So that is the type of waste that we're going to be focusing mainly on, the type of waste that is created by human beings. And please, at any point when you have any questions, don't be afraid to drop them into the comments. Any ideas, please drop your ideas into the comments and let's get this rolling. Like I said, I'm the host, you are the co-host, so we're going to be sharing ideas here. I'm giving you what I have. You also have something that you know in relation to waste management that you can always share with the community in the comment section. So the first thing, like I said, the outlook. Where does municipal solid waste stand right now? So currently, Africa stands at 250 million tons of municipal waste, and this number is growing every single year. When you look at the global statistics, currently there is 2.3 billion tons of municipal waste, and by 2050 this is expected to grow to about 3.8 billion tons. So as you can see, the number is continuously growing every single year, which means waste is starting to become, or waste is a concern. It's a concern. We are having more waste increasing or accumulating than the actual amount of waste that is being managed. So that's the first thing that we need to understand. That is where we stand as Africa and as the world in terms of waste. So now let us understand in terms of management and collection of waste, what is happening in Africa and what is happening in the world, right? So first things first is in Africa, municipal solid waste, its collection rate in Africa stands at about or roughly 36%. Like I said, we are quantifying the facts. We need to understand the facts at 36%, meaning that that's 64%. 64% is uncollected or is poorly managed in Africa. 64%, imagine. So take that 64% of the 250 million tons that we just talked about, and see how much that is. So that presents an opportunity for entrepreneurs, for people like me and you to come in and fill that gap. Try and push that rate a little bit higher by seeing and finding ways of how to manage waste, how to collect waste in an effective way. Because right now, as it stands, we are producing waste more than we are managing it. In the world, 38 to 41% of waste is uncontrolled. It's uncontrolled, and Africa takes the largest portion of that slice of the pie. So now that we understand that there is a huge problem in collection of waste, there's a huge problem in management of waste, right? And where you as a entrepreneur need to come in, right? Where you need to come in. Now let's look at in the growing of waste, the waste that is increasing annually. Which categories specifically are increasing at a fast rate, faster than other types of waste? And the first one on the list, the obvious one, plastic. Plastic is increasing at an alarming rate. And not only is, when waste increases, waste like plastic, the problem with plastic is it's non-biodegradable. Meaning that if you throw it into the environment, into the water, into the ground, it takes a very long time to decompose. And this poses a threat to the natural systems or to the living things around, to animals that might eat these poisonous plastics, might even poison the plants, might even poison the water in the rivers and all this. So that is why plastic is a very huge concern right now, and is one of the fastest growing municipal waste that we have. And hence it means that we need innovative solutions that will be able to combat or deal with plastic. As of now, we are seeing a lot of retail shops, a lot of campaigns where most companies are shifting from plastic. They are now moving to paper products, paper packaging, or biodegradable packaging to reduce the waste that is being caused by plastic. But then now, this is not enough. We still need more solutions. This is why we are here in this life, to try together and explore these opportunities that exist in dealing with this. The second category is what we call e-waste. I talked about e-waste in the community last time, in the Innovative Room community. If you have not yet joined the Innovative Room community, you can go to the link in my bio and join it. We discuss different opportunities. This is where we have such discussions like this on WhatsApp. In my live sessions, I do live sessions occasionally. I don't do them every time. But in the group, we discuss almost every day. So if you want to be part of this kind of conversations, you need to join the Innovative Room. So the second one, like I said, is e-waste. And what is e-waste exactly? E-waste is basically every electronic device, mobile phones, computers, your TVs, any ICT equipment. So e-waste is one of the fastest growing waste streams in Africa, because we are seeing more phones, we are seeing new technologies being generated every single day, and nowadays is at a very faster rate than it used to before. We are seeing new phones being generated consistently. Old phones are becoming obsolete and people are throwing them away. They are becoming waste, and it means that we need solutions that are going to deal with this kind of waste, where you can be able to collect this, recycle or reuse this waste in some type of way. And since I'm in Botswana alone, over 13,000 tons are generated per year or annually of e-waste, just e-waste alone. And this number is expected to grow. Like I said, there are more technologies that are being released, and all technologies are being replaced or made obsolete. The third category is construction and demolition waste. Since there is rapid urbanization, more especially in Africa, the reason why we're talking mainly about Africa is because Africa is undergoing urbanization in most countries in Africa. So it means that with urbanization, we're going to see more construction, right? We're going to see more construction. We're going to see more demolition of old buildings to plant or to build new buildings. And so this is going to create waste. We need ways in which we can deal with this construction waste. We need ways in which we can deal with this demolition waste. In one of my videos, I talked about this, where I said you can if you have a small pickup truck, you can identify or maybe find people who are constructing in your neighborhood, and then you talk to them. You say, after you're done with your construction, I would love to collect your waste, and they pay you at a fee. That's one of the business ideas that I'm already giving out before we get to the real opportunities that we are here for today. The fourth one is organic waste. And organic waste, we're talking about food and agricultural waste. So this one is rapidly growing because people eat every day. People eat every day. So wherever you see people eating in their households, in events, a lot of organic waste or food waste or agricultural waste is being produced, even as agricultural activities take place. And in most countries in Africa, organic waste is said to dominate a larger portion of municipal waste, solid waste, which is about between 50 to 70%, meaning 50 to 70% of waste generated in most countries in Africa is organic and food waste. So again, we need people like you, we need entrepreneurs like you to come up with brilliant ideas to say, how do we deal with food waste? How do we turn food waste into something that can be reused again, that is beneficial for people and for Africa, right? So those are the four categories. We just talked about the four categories. Obviously, there are others, but we're only going to focus on these four of the categories that are the fastest growing waste streams or categories in Africa. So far, if you're just joining in, so far we've talked about the waste outlook. How does waste look in Africa? uh, understand the real statistics behind waste, the waste that is being produced. And I said we are focused mainly on municipal solid waste, which is waste that is produced by human activity, where you see human beings and they produce that waste, their activities, industrial activities and different activities. That is what we call uh, municipal solid waste, and that is the waste that we're going to be focusing on today. We talked about the 4 categories, which is the fastest growing waste streams in Africa. That is your plastics, your e-waste, your construction and demolition waste, as well as organic waste. So we talked about those. Now, let us try and understand what are the countries that are currently producing the most waste in Africa right now. So if you're in these countries, you realize that, or you see that actually there are more opportunities in your country to make money or to turn waste into something that is tangible or that is beneficial. So South Africa, number 1, Nigeria, Egypt, and Kenya. And this is mainly because of the large populations in these countries. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's usually because of the large population in these countries. So wherever you see a large population, it means that there is a lot of industrial activity or human activity. The more human activity you have, the more waste you have. It's as simple as that. So I don't want to get into why urbanization, I've just explained why urbanization increased waste. Where I talked about construction waste, I told you that the more urbanization that happens, the more construction happens, the more demolition of old buildings and setting up of new buildings happen, and that means generation of waste. Urbanizations means more factories, more manufacturing industries, more warehouses, more business activities, and the more business activities they are, the more waste there is. So that is why as we right now, where Africa is, Africa and most countries in Africa are undergoing rapid urbanization. And so it means that in the next 5-10 years, we might see a lot of waste being generated because of this activities. So now, after we have talked about every single thing that we've talked about, I believe that as we have quantified the different opportunities, we can both agree then now that waste is not just waste or is not just useless. Waste is actually an economic resource. It is actually an opportunity for somebody to make money out of it. The problem with waste, or the thing with waste, is many people know that waste is a problem, but very few people are actually determined and actually willing to deal with waste. And waste is deemed or is seen by most people as one of the most boring businesses. But that is where a lot of money is. That is where a lot of opportunities are. If you listen to a lot of billionaires, I listened to some interviews of billionaires, and they are asked, how did you make your money? He said, I made my money out of a lot of boring businesses. I did a lot of boring businesses in waste collection, in sewage. And you wonder, a billionaire is saying they made money out of sewage or out of waste. It's because they understand that these things, like we have talked about, waste is being generated in large quantities. And people who are willing to deal with collecting, processing, recycling that waste are the ones that are going to make money, because the value is in actually processing and recycling the waste. Those are the people that are going to make money. But a lot of our young people right now, because of urbanization, because of going to the cities, they don't want anything to do with waste. And so the smart people are saying, okay, people don't want to deal with waste. Why don't we deal with it and make money out of it? I mean, if you have a lot of waste in your yard and somebody comes and say, pay me 200 pula, for example, in Botswana, and I'll take away this waste. because that waste is causing, number one, diseases, maybe is attracting rodents, you would gladly allow that person to take that. Every single time we see waste trucks collecting waste around the city, you have companies collecting sewage. So few people are willing to deal with waste, but there is a lot of money in waste. I believe that if you have listened to what I was talking about above, as I've quantified, as I've shown you the real numbers, because yes, that's a market right there. Thank you very much. It's a huge market. I've quantified the amount of waste that is being produced, and I've told you waste is being produced at a faster rate than it's been processed. 36%. 36% is a very small number. It means that 64% of waste that is generated in Africa is not processed, is not collected, it's not managed well. That is a huge number that requires entrepreneurs to come in and say, we're going to deal with this, we're going to make money out of this. So now we have discussed and now understand where waste lies, or what is currently happening in waste in regards to Africa. And then we also now understand that waste is not just something that's useless. It's actually an economic resource that you need to reframe your mind, change your mind to say waste is not just waste. It's actually an opportunity for me to make money, because not a lot of people are willing to deal with that. And that's basically where an entrepreneur comes in. An entrepreneur comes in to solve a problem that most people are not willing to solve or are not willing to do, right? It's almost like that across almost every sector. When you see somebody opening a tuck shop in your neighborhood, it doesn't mean that you personally cannot open a tuck shop for yourself. You might even have the money to open a tuck shop, but the reason why you're not doing it is because you are not willing to do it. And there's nothing wrong with not willing. You just are not willing to do it. So somebody willing to do it is the one who's going to make more money out of you, because they are willing to do something you don't want to do. So it's the same thing with waste. A lot of people don't want to deal with waste, and those who are willing to deal with waste are the ones that are going to be making money. So that is the mindset that I want us to understand first. Let us get into that mindset. I need to be willing to deal with waste if I need to make money out of waste. There are different categories in waste that we've talked about above, but we'll also talk about as we now quantify this different opportunities, right? At any point, if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Feel free to drop any comments, any ideas as we go on into today's live, right? So we all know that Africa is the home for many raw materials, and I continuously over and over talked about this in my previous live sessions, the first 2 live sessions. I said for many years now, even right now, it's still happening. Africa exports its value outside of the continent. It takes its raw materials and sells it to Europe, to America, to Asia at very cheap prices. And then we buy in processed goods at expensive prices. And I talked about this in my previous live session, that processing, you see, in processing and packaging, that is where a lot of the value is. The reason why we're buying these goods at expensive prices is because they have been processed and they have been packaged. So you have to pay for that. It's expensive. That is where the value is. That is where a lot of the value is. And so Africa has been exporting the value outside. The value is not in producing. Actually, in producing, that's where the lowest value is. If you have a farmer in a field who's planting crops, say maize, they are the ones that are going to benefit the less compared to somebody who's going to take that maize, process it, and turn it into maize meal or mealie meal, and package it well and then sell it. They're the ones that are going to make the most money from the maize compared to the people who are at the farm. So I need us to understand that waste is one of Africa's raw materials that we ourselves, that you watching this live, can process, can turn it into something usable, right? You can recycle it, you can collect the waste, you can manage the waste. This poses an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for you to say, okay, there is waste in this area, and waste is everywhere. Wherever you are staying, you see waste. And most of the time you see that very few people are willing to deal with that. So now let's understand, before we get into the opportunities, but I believe from what I've already shared so far, you already have some ideas as to what is happening around waste and all those different things. So now let's understand what is the waste value chain or the ecosystem of waste, the different stages of waste, right? The first stage is the obvious one, is the one that happens every single day, which is waste generation, caused by the activities of human. Like I said, municipal solid waste, waste generated by activities of human beings. This activity happens every single day. People buy packaged goods from the shops. They buy food from spaza shops, that is in takeaways. They use plastics from the shops, and because we are in Africa, we are not well educated on how to deal with waste. We mismanage waste. We manage waste poorly. So that's the first stage. That's the first part of the value chain in waste generation. The second one is collection, waste collection, which we see different municipal trucks or trucks going around the city collecting waste, So that's the second stage, or that's the second stage of the value chain in waste. The third one is sorting waste into its various categories: glass, food waste, e-waste, and all the various types of waste, oil, you name it. We talked about the few ones, your plastics, and all those different waste materials. Number 4 is transportation. You need to be able to transport the waste from the collection points and transport them to stations where they are going to be processed. And then after that, it's processing, which might include shredding, which might include composting, compost food, or what do you call it? Food, turning it into something usable, organic waste, or your waste from food. After that, after processing, you get into manufacturing, and then you get into distribution. So generally, this is what happens around waste. You would have from where people are generating waste from the daily activities of human beings. We need, now this is where I'm going to give you some ideas into where you can fit in as a human being. We need people who collect waste, number one, who know very well how to collect waste. And we need more educators online, especially on TikTok. So this can be your niche, specific niche on TikTok. You come on TikTok where you educate people about waste collection, about waste recycling, waste processing, all these different things. We need people who can educate the public on how to collect waste, number one, on how to sort waste, number two. If you go to countries like Japan have very strict, Japan, Singapore, They have very strict programs when it comes to waste sorting and collection. They have various bins labeled for various types of waste. And if you don't abide by that, even in the UK, you don't abide by that, there are some certain penalties or there are some certain fees that you have to pay just for not sorting waste very well. So we need to educate Africans more on this area. How do you sort waste? How do you collect waste in such a way that when people who are transporting, who are coming to transport this waste to these processing plants, they can easily transport it, and when they are processing it, processing is easy. And so in collection and in sorting, there are some a couple of number of initiatives that we see more, especially I'll talk about mainly here in Botswana. I don't know in other countries, but I believe that it exists. The same model exists, whereby we had a time, I don't know if it's that the program is still running now, where people collected tin cans. They collected tin cans, they crushed them, and they would send them to where they are being recycled or being processed. So this is one of the things that you can do. You can say, okay, I want to deal with, say, plastic waste. And now, because you know that most people don't know how to sort and how to collect plastic waste, you can offer an incentive. You can say, if you collect this type of plastic waste for me, you sort it, you package it, and you bring it to me, I'll give you a specific amount per kg. So this is to encourage people. This is to make more like automate collection and sorting, and to have people to collect and motivate them to collect and give them a certain fee for doing that. You can also set up bins. You can start with areas that say suburbs, because suburbs usually that's where you would typically find people who have some knowledge in how to manage, how to sort, how to sort and how to dispose waste, You can go to gated estates, educate the people. I'm bringing these types of bins. I'm going to be bringing these bins for you, a bin for oil, a bin for a bin for organic waste, which is your food waste if you want, a bin for plastic, a bin for glass, right? You put those bins, and the people, they separate and they sort the waste directly from the source. And when you come to collect, either you collect and take it to the processing people who do processing. So like I said, you can in the value chain, you can be the person who only focuses on collecting. And you get paid. We have entities here in our country, Botswana. I'm pretty much sure even in other countries, in South Africa, Namibia, across the whole world, there are companies and there are entities that would pay you for you collecting waste for them. Sorted waste. The value is in sorted waste, not just any waste. You don't just collect waste as it is and you just give it to them. You need to sort the waste and give it to them. That is how you get paid. Which is why also we have things like scrap yards. Scrap yards, they pay you for collecting various metals, aluminium, various metallic items. For the tin cans, most people also sell these tins at the scrap yards. They collect this. I live in Botswana, by the way. You just asked the question. I live in Botswana. So yeah, that's what I was talking about in Botswana. But mainly, most of the things that we're talking about here apply also in your specific country. What country are you in? Capture me. So like I was saying, scrapyards, we have scrapyards. So you can also look into scrapyards. Scrapyards are places that would gladly pay you. They have certain fees for you collect copper, various categories of metal: copper, aluminium, stainless steel, iron, or iron metal. They pay you like you can actually go to scrap yards like even tomorrow and go ask them, which metals do you buy here? They will tell you, we buy these metals and these are our prices for each metal. Or you live in England, but I want to come home in Zambia to work and help it. Yes. So it means that you need to keep on watching and following these live sessions and these discussions. If you haven't joined, like I said, we have these discussions almost on a daily basis in our WhatsApp group, which is the Innovative Room. In the Innovative Room, we talk about these opportunities. So if you want to join that group on WhatsApp, just go to my bio, you click the link in the bio, and then you see the link to the group, or just get my number and text me and I'll add you to the group. The live sessions are occasional, but in the group we try as much as possible to have such conversations almost on a daily basis. So yes, thank you very much for the follow. So we're talking about collection and sorting, right? And I was giving you some ideas into what can you do with collection and sorting, right? Now there's transportation. So if you have a truck, right? If you have a truck, a mini truck or mini, a mini truck or a truck, basically, let me call it that way. It's simple. You can go to various households. You can go even in your neighborhood. You can search in your neighborhood. Your neighborhood, you might find out that your neighborhood has so much waste than you thought. If you have a small truck, just go around your neighborhood. Those that have metal items that they are no longer using, you collect them. You sort them: stainless steel, aluminium, all that. You sort them. After you sort them, you take them to the scrapyards where they will pay you for that. That's number one. You can, if you have a truck, like I talked about in one of my videos, if you have people who are doing construction in your neighborhood or wherever you find people doing construction, there is always going to be waste there. So if you have a truck, you can say, I can offer to transport you or to deal with your waste, your construction waste, at a certain fee. You agree on that fee, they pay you for that. So in waste collection, you can only focus on transportation. That's one of the areas you can focus on. Say, okay, I'm only going to focus on transportation of waste, and I'm going to be paid for transporting waste. That is one of the ways that you can make money. So I already talked about you can make money out of collection and sorting. And by collection, where can you collect? How can you collect? What do we need? Like I said, we need more people more than ever to come here on this platform on TikTok to educate people. Don't say, I've seen somebody educating people in South Africa or in Nigeria or in America. Why don't you in your specific country educate people in your native language about waste? Because I know there are people who are passionate about waste, who can be able to explain waste and teach people how to collect waste and how to make money out of waste, right? So those are one of the areas. You can focus on collection, sorting, transportation. We get to processing. Now, processing is a big one. It's one of the big one. The only problem with processing is, depending on what you're processing, on the waste you're processing, this kind of business has a slightly higher barrier of entry, meaning you need to have finances or capital to be able to get into this. So collection and sorting, you can start with very little resources. You don't need much resources. Transportation, if you have a truck, that's the only resource that you need to collect waste, and people pay you just for collecting waste. Processing, on the other hand, is you need to, if you want to get into that space, you need to own the equipment that are going to help you to process. But of course, there are some cheaper ways of processing that we might explore, that you might look at to process and to yeah, basically recycling. You see, in recycling has a slightly low barrier of entry, because you can recycle plastic bottles with whatever you have at home, turn them there. You go on YouTube, you search how to recycle plastic. They'll show you effective ways of recycling plastic at home, like in home, and you can recycle them into things that people use on a daily basis. I've seen an interesting video last time where a person was recycling plastic, like literally the plastic bottles. They were cutting them into small strips and then turning them into brooms, like a functional broom. So you see, there are various, and these videos are there on YouTube, but most people don't watch them. They are there on YouTube. You just search anything, how to recycle organic waste at home. They will show you. You can recycle organic waste like this into a product that can be bought by someone. So the idea is to find, how do I recycle all these small things? How do I package this? And how do I resell it? Like here, I know a lot of businesses in Botswana, or one of the businesses here in Botswana that recycle used oil, used cooking oil, used more car oil. You just take the oil, you take it to them, they recycle it and they repackage it. They recycle it, they clean it, they refine it, and then they repackage it and they sell it. And the reason why it's good is because that oil is usually cheaper than the one that you buy at the shop. So most people go for that. Most people go for that oil. They buy that oil because it's cheaper. So you see, you can get into processing, process, package, and then sell. You can start with like I said, most of these videos are there on YouTube. Just go on YouTube, you find them. You find a lot of videos that teach you how to process the waste that you generate at home. But then, if all this information exists, why aren't people doing this? Why aren't people doing that? They're doing that because, like I said, not everyone. A lot of people are unwilling to deal with waste. People, when they see waste, they just see waste. It's waste. I don't want anything to do with waste. I want to discard waste. But the smart people are saying, oh, people don't want to deal with waste. So if I take care of that part, if I deal with waste for them, then I'm going to be paid. What are you thinking, Mr. Coop Season? Please share your idea. I can see that you are thinking right there. There are many restrictions. Okay, can you list some of the restrictions that exist? I'm interested in knowing that, in knowing the restrictions that exist in Botswana, and in what area specifically. Like I said, we come here to share ideas. So it doesn't necessarily mean that when I come here, I'm 100% correct. Somebody may know something that I don't know. So, Mr. TT, please share with us, Miss or Mr. I'm sorry for that, the restrictions that we have in Botswana around waste. But generally, these are the ideas you need to start looking into. So already we talked about waste collection, we talked about sorting, we talked about transportation, we talked about processing. And in processing, you can have, there are many machinery in China that actually process waste. I've seen one this other day, the one that recycles oil, used oil. It recycles it, refines it, it cleans it. They're not very expensive. You can start with a small one, and then as you scale up, you buy a bigger one. So those are some of the opportunities that exist, or some of the areas that you need to start looking into. Then we get to manufacturing, which is to turning processed waste into new products. So, which is why you see plastic companies, when you sell to them uh, plastics, used plastics or plastic bottles, they can shred these plastic bottles, and then they can turn them or make new bottles out of them. And they can be turned into bricks. There's one innovator, one brilliant lady from Kenya. I'm trying to remind myself her name. She's from Kenya. She turned plastic waste. She takes plastic waste and combines it with sand and turns it into bricks, paving bricks. And these bricks are said to be stronger. I don't know how true is that, but they are said to be stronger than and durable than the bricks that we use. Yes, she's called Nzambi Matee. So if you want to look into her, I think her story is there on TikTok. You can find her story on TikTok. She, like I said, she mixes recycled plastics with sand to produce paving blocks that are reported to be 5 to 7 times stronger than conventional concrete pavers. So apparently these paving blocks are stronger. So you can just go on TikTok after this live, go on TikTok, search for Nzambi Matee. Then you can, if maybe you are not sure, you can say bricks made out of plastics. You will see her. She's a very brilliant young woman and young lady. And with this, she has created jobs for his people, for her people in her country, in Kenya. She's built a manufacturing company, and she has created demand for plastic waste. So you see, this is an innovation, this is a solution in Kenya. You can say in Botswana, oh, can't I try and look into that area myself, then also generate something similar to hers, but in Botswana, or but in South Africa, or whatever nation that you are watching or that you are tuned in to this live from. So yeah, that's one of the opportunities in manufacturing. And then we get into distribution, and distribution is basically distributing packaged or manufactured goods. Just like you are a seller, any shop or a retail that sells these, right? And then the last stage of the life cycle is the consumer, or the end of life, where now the people are using these items. So I believe that you picked some opportunities, you picked some ideas from what I talked about. At the beginning of the life, I quantified and I talked about why waste is a concern. We dealt with the numbers, the statistics. About 64% of waste is not collected in Africa, or is poorly managed. So that's a problem. We currently stand at 250 million tons of waste as a continent, and this is expected to increase in the next, by 2050, we might even have doubled that number. Might even have doubled that number. I had to research, guys. It's actually not easy to get licensed to do that. Okay, that's interesting. But not easy doesn't mean not possible. And license to do what exactly? Because we touched on a lot of things. TT, we talked on we discussed processing, we discussed manufacturing. Which part exactly aren't you licensed to do? Processing, manufacturing, because there are like, as we speak, there are companies in our country right now that are doing this. So it not being easy, it's not easy, but it's doable. That is why I said I'm going to be sharing ideas here. You have to go do your research, going to look into it and see um, what is happening. And this is one of the pieces of useful information that TT has given us, that is actually not easy to get licensed to do that. So you need to be mindful of that. Um, what are the things that are needed for you to get licensed? What are the various things that you need to go through? So you understand when you actually get into venturing that, when you actually get into that, you actually understand the bottlenecks that you might meet along the way. So it not being easy doesn't mean that it cannot be doable. It's doable because we know of entities. I joined when you're talking about waste thing. You can watch it YouTube. Yes, we are talking about waste. What I was saying is which area, because maybe you joined and I was talking about collection, transportation, manufacturing or distribution, which part exactly, but okay, it's fine. Those who want to explore this further, okay, those who want to explore this further can go read. But the ones that I'm 100% sure of is collection, it's sorting. Those ones I'm sure of. I have been there. Where you collect, you sort various metals, you sort various, more especially metal. That's the one that I know of. That's the one that I've did before. And I know somebody who does that. They sort various metals and then they go and sell them. Right? So we still need more entities to deal with the other categories of waste. So I've pointed you into that direction. That's the reason why we came here to discuss. You can go do your research, as TTS said. Go on YouTube. Most of the information is there on YouTube. You can understand the different details or nitty-gritties of what we are talking about today. So, like I said, a lot of the values in processing is in manufacturing. That is where a lot of the value is. So if you can be able to get over the hurdles that TT might have highlighted, if you can get over those hurdles, and there's a lot of value. So right now it might not be easy to do that, and that's also why I'm saying it being hard doesn't mean it's not doable. It is doable. It's just that it's hard, it's not easy. And we might see policies around that change very soon. How soon, I don't know, but we might see them change because as we speak right now in Botswana is undergoing a series of policy revisions and changes. So, like I said, as we talked about the various stages, don't just focus on collection. Collection is just one of those areas. Transportation is just one of those areas. You see, um, processing, manufacturing, delivery, or distribution. Those are one of the areas. So now let's look at the various waste categories that we talked about at the top, or just various waste Some of them I've talked about them, so most of these we're going to skim over. We're not going to spend a lot of our time here. So the first one is plastics. I've talked about plastics and why plastics are a problem and are a concern, and why most entities, why most companies, why most shops, and why most manufacturing companies are switching from plastic to more eco-friendly options, like say paper or biodegradable materials. So that's plastic. And so, like I said, you can research plastic, you can recycle plastic for yourself, see how you can best recycle it and turn it into products that you can sell. This can be done at home. You can find ways to recycle your plastic at home, right? Then we have, like we said, buyback centers. We have centers where they buy back used plastic materials, plastic bottles, your plastics, your retail plastics. We have entities that buy this at a specific fee, a specific price. You can make your more of your research into that. What are those which entities do that, and which ones can I check? So in plastic recycling, so far we already talked about Gjenge Makers, the leader I talked about from Kenya, who turns plastic, recycled plastic, into pavers. Those are just a few, so you can look more into that. So the one that I talked about, the plastic bricks, like I said, the lady in Kenya who's turning plastics into paver bricks that are 5 to 7 times tougher or stronger than your normal concrete bricks. As you might look into future opportunities, might be the bricks that I talked about, because like I said, that solution only exists in Kenya. So if you are in Botswana, if you are in South Africa, if you are in Namibia, Mozambique, whatever nation you are in, the UK, you might look into that and say, oh, how did this girl turn plastic into bricks, and take that idea to your specific country. You can also turn these into tiles. You can turn this into pallets, into various products. It's just you making your research. How can you best recycle plastic into something useful? Yeah. Oh, no, don't worry. It's fine. I will post this live replay on my YouTube channel, and you can go through it and watch from the beginning what I talked about, right? So that was plastic. Like I said, most of them are just going to be skimming, because I spent a lot of my time initially earlier in this live talking about these categories. The second one is paper and cardboard. The second one is paper and cardboard. So we have corrugated boxes from retail and logistics. We always see these at shops. They usually dispose. YouTube channel name, please. The same name, Vicky Innovative. Really? Oh wait, let me check for you. Let me just confirm for you. But just search Vicky Innovative. You should be able to find my channel. Yes, just search Vicky Innovative, the same name as my TikTok channel. So after this live, I'll upload it there and you will find it there. So paper and cardboard, is you can shred. One of the ways you can recycle paper and cardboard is shredding. Shredding, we've seen people shredding this and then turning it into pulp that can be then turned into other products. I've seen various people, craftsmen, who do this just at home. They just take paper, cut it into small pieces, turn it into pulp, and then they make various artifacts. They can make pots, they can make plastic plates out of that, different innovative products. I even have had my some people that I know do this, and they were making money. You can make it into an artifact, decorate it nicely, and sell it. People would be interested in buying that. Those are one of the things that you can look into. You can even look even on YouTube on how you can actually, do this process. That's why even in companies, in large companies that do paper, and actually with this one of the money that exists here is you can you can have a shredder or a shredding company where you have shredders, and then you go around various companies, because most companies have documents that are confidential, that they don't want to be seen by a lot of people. So you can get into contracts with these companies where either you supply them with shredders, or you have a shredder, you go around collecting their papers and shredding them. But this one, you have to ensure that you have shredded them. They have to be sure that they've shredded, because like I said, they are shredding them because most of the information in that is either it's old information or it's confidential information that has to be shredded. So you can sell shredding machines to these companies, or you yourself can have a shredding machine. And then the shredded paper, you either sell it to people who can process it into something, into maybe paper again, return it into paper products, or turn it into crafts or artifacts. So those are one of the opportunities that exist in paper and cardboard. Right. I know there is a company called Genpack. I don't know if they buy. I don't know how. Whether do they buy their card boxes? I have a friend who works there. Whether do they buy their card boxes and recycle them into new card boxes for reselling or what? I'm not sure. You can do your research into that. The name of the company is called Genpack. Go and find about it, research about it. How can maybe you can start working with them and all that. But like I said, you can also get into shredding. Shredding is a big one, guys. It's one of the big ones. If you can form good relationships with these companies and you shred their papers on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, you can actually make money out of that. So, yeah. The third category we're going to get into is glass. Now, for glass is a complex one. It's a complex one, more especially here in Botswana. Is a very complex one. It's actually, I would say maybe it's a gap that needs to be filled. I would say probably it's a gap that needs to be filled. We need people to come up with various solutions on how we can deal with glass waste. Because glass waste is one of nothing comes to mind in terms of glass waste recycling, unless somebody in the audience knows any organization or ways in which Botswana or South Africa or whatever country in Africa is recycling glass, right? So if you know something about that in the audience, you can just type in there, oh, there's this country, this is how they recycle glass. But glass is one of the areas that are not well recycled. So For glass, you need to be able to sort glass by color. You need to be able to have technologies that crush it. So I believe there are companies that do have that. Um, with glass, also one of the reasons why glass might be challenging, because glass requires a specific skill set. I mean, almost every waste, yes, requires a specific skill set to deal with it. But glass specifically, there's a certain way in which it is handled, because to manufacture or to crush glass and to turn it into, to manufacture it into maybe another glass bottle or glass product, is you need to process it. There's heating and furnaces, there's shaping, so there's a specific skill set that is needed here. And right. The fourth category is scrap metal. So we already talked about plastic. We talked about paper and cardboard. What are okay, the restricted it. But let's hope that in the next coming years, they will open it up. So if somebody is interested in glass making, you can. But actually, there is actually a glass making plant that was supposed to be constructed in Palape, and the project was abandoned. I've just seen a recent publication where the government say they actually want to resurrect the project. So maybe in the next coming, I don't know how many years from now, but in the next few years we might see that area opening up. So not all hope is lost. Thank you for that information, Titi. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that was glass. Scrap metal, I've already talked about scrap metal. Scrap metal, you can collect scrap metal, sort it into its various categories: aluminium, stainless steel, iron, brass, all those, copper, all those various categories, and then you go and sell them at scrap yards. They would gladly pay you. They pay a certain fee per kg. So just imagine if you collected around 100 kg maybe of copper, and government restrictions. Yeah, for now we can say government restrictions, but we are hoping that in Botswana here, government restrictions will open up. Like I said, Botswana is, I've seen various documents where Botswana is undergoing various policy changes. So hopefully these matters, as more people raise these matters to the parliament, they will see the need to open this up. But if you are in other countries, say even in South Africa, say you are in Namibia, any other country, and you are tuned into this, trying to look into what are the restrictions or what are the different programs that exist around waste management in these various categories, in these various materials, and see how you can work around that. And like I said initially in this life, yes, yeah, I figured out. Like I said in this life, we need to change our mindset from just viewing waste as just waste, but viewing waste as an economic asset where you can manage that waste and be paid for managing that waste. So that was scrap metal. Like I said, electronic waste, e-waste, actually BITC has actually talked about e-waste in one of their documents. If you go to the ICT documents, the Botswana Investment and Trade Center, they have specifically listed e-waste as one of the areas that has opportunities where somebody can deal with e-waste, electronic waste. And so electronic waste, the reason why electronic waste is a challenge is because most of the materials that are used to create these gadgets are toxic. They are toxic, and as I said, we are seeing a rapid growth in electronic devices. almost every single, I don't know, 6 months or how many, we always have a new gadget entering the market, a new gadget entering the market, a new electronic device entering the market and making all devices obsolete. So it means that that waste of those old devices, we need somebody who will come up with a solution to deal with that waste. Find and research ways, and look into the restrictions in your country. Look into what can you realistically do at that moment as regarding to e-waste. But what I know is in Botswana, they specifically mentioned e-waste in the BITC. So maybe there is an opportunity and there is a gap for somebody to fill that space. So you need to be able to efficiently collect e-waste. You need to be able to dismantle it safely, because like I said, most of these things some of their components are made out of toxic materials. So you need to know how to dismantle. You need to know how to test components, because in dismantling this electronic waste, actually, you can almost do like what people who sell secondhand, or this, say you are a PC repair guru, that's what they do. When they buy old pieces that are not working from people, they dismantle them, they take out the parts that are working and store them as spare parts, and then when somebody comes, they resell to them. So this one is something that happens. So you can do the same with phones. You can buy phones that are no longer working from people at cheap prices, dismantle them and extract parts that are working and resell them at a fee. This is what a lot of people are doing right now in Botswana. But then now, the thing is, we have a lot of people doing this, but you might look at it and say, I can maybe create a brand around this, right? Because it's the same thing. I'll give you an example with roasted peanuts. I'll just give you an example with roasted peanuts. I'll give you an example to roasted peanuts. A lot of people along the ways in the bus ranks, in the stops, they sell roasted peanuts. We all know that. But somebody was smart enough to say, no, I can actually turn these roasted peanuts into a brand. And I saw this other brand in Spa. They just took the same recipe that the ladies along the ladies and the people in these stops sell, and said, I'm just going to turn it into a brand, package it, and then sell it to shops. He did that, and Spa bought it. It's a locally produced good. It's produced right here in Botswana, and Spa said, you know what, we're going to buy this good, I'm going to sell it. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can find that people are doing, a large number of people are doing something, but if very few of them actually have professionalized it and turned it into a niche or into a brand. I also said one of the opportunities that I said is you can come, if you are somebody who's passionate about getting on social media and also passionate about waste management, you can get on social media and create a niche around waste management, because like I said, we need more people to educate a lot of our Africans on how to manage waste, how to use waste, so that people can make better informed choices, better informed decisions in terms of managing waste in their houses and where they stay. We need people to do, and more especially, we need young people. We need more young people, because a lot of people or young people spend a lot of their time on this app, on TikTok, on social media, on Facebook. So if you can be able to come in on these platforms and educate them on these platforms, you are doing them justice. We might see in the next 5 years, we have now a significant amount of people who are educated in how to handle and how to collect waste and how to sort waste. Like I said, these are one of the things that countries like Japan, Singapore are doing. They have very strict programs around that. If you do not sort um, waste properly, you're going to face some charges and some fines just for not disposing uh, of waste properly. And these are one of the policies that we wish, uh, we hope we will see in our country or in Africa, so that we can have more people managing waste well. So that was e-waste. I talked about construction and demolition waste. I already talked about that. That as urbanization happens, it means there is more human activity. There is more buildings that are going to be set up, and with that, it means that construction of new buildings, demolition of old buildings, demolition of old buildings for new buildings. So you can chip and say, I have a truck, I have a fleet of trucks that specifically focus on construction waste. Right? You find people in your neighborhood who are constructing. Oh, after you're done construction, can I collect this waste for you and dispose it for you at a fee? Nobody will refuse. You helping them with that, and you can formalize it, turn it into a business, and see where we can go. And like I said, whatever we share in these live sessions, please always make it a thing to do your own due diligence. Go do your own research, go read for yourself, go find what are the different restrictions, what are the different thresholds and all that. And I also said, if you need help with research, digging deep into these various areas, I can help you with that. So you can reach out to me. So number 7 in the list is organic waste. Organic waste, well, organic waste, we're talking about food and other municipal organic. Municipal organics means organic items that are used by human beings, right? And the problem is, if organic waste is not disposed of properly, it creates unpleasant odors, it creates emissions, it impacts health, it attracts rodents. If you have organic waste that's not properly disposed in your household, it attracts rodents, and yeah, that's just a few of them. So we need solutions that are going to be able to help, or to have people collect this organic waste very well. One of the solutions that I see, I think even in Africa, one of the solutions exists. It's biofuel. Biofuel, basically taking organic or food waste and turning it into petrol or diesel, into biofuel. And then this biofuel is mixed with like fuel, the real petrol. It's mixed and then it's resold. So these are some certain initiatives, or there are some certain businesses that exist in other countries, here in Africa and also in the diaspora. So you can look into that too. Yeah, you can, exactly, you can make fertilizers with organic waste. That's one of the other ideas. Thank you for that, TT. Thank you very much for that. So we can turn that 10 organic waste into fertilizers, and then sell these organizers. So those are one of the things that you need to look in. Find ways in which you can collect household waste, food waste, supermarket food waste, restaurant waste, and all those various wastes. Right. So yeah. So that is organic waste. Agricultural waste, and this is agricultural waste, basically crop residues, which usually most people burn them. They are underutilized. We know few people here in the, I think it's here in the country, that actually turn crop residues into animal feed. So you can look into that one. I don't think that we have enough of those solutions in this country or in Africa. So you can look into how can you collect crop residues in farms and turn them into high quality or animal feed, process it. I've seen where people, they process it and they compact it into bales and they sell to farmers to feed their livestock. So that's one of the areas that you can look into when it comes to agricultural waste. Your maize stalks, your sugarcane waste, different agricultural waste. Find ways. Like I said, YouTube is also your friend. A lot of these things we tend to despise that you'd find them on YouTube, but you'd actually find them. You can actually find a video that will teach you how to turn residual crop waste into something that can be resold, right? So those are one of the areas that you need to look into. 3.9, or the ninth category, is wastewater. But this one, I believe we have actually entities that that assist in this area, that help. But you can also make your research into that, to looking on where do gaps exist in terms of wastewater, how can wastewater be recycled, and all those different things. I've had some of my previous schoolmates at university mates have had a project where they created coagulants for filtering water using various materials. Those were chemical engineering students. So this is one of the areas that they were mainly focused in, or they were dealing with having to clean wastewater. The 10th category is medical waste. So as we know, there are companies, wastewater can be purified and used as drinking water. Yes, that's basically what water utilities does. I don't know if there is a way of doing this specifically in your local area, but I believe it should be doable. With proper research, it should be doable. Find out the different ways in which that can be done and turning it into drinking water. So medical waste now, which medical waste is usually very high. This one is the one that is highly regulated. Clinical waste is highly regulated and it's hazardous, and you need to obtain a specific license. You need to have a license to, basically you need a license for everything. Let me not say this one is the only one that needs a license. You need a license for almost everything, but this one is it's highly regulated compared to the other categories, right? So you can look into that one. This one is just basically forming contracts with either mainly with clinics, and then collecting hazardous waste. On number 11 in our list is tires. But with tires, this one it's also challenging because tires they are flammable, and it's usually very hard to process tires. So you can research. There are specific machines that can help you shred tires. You shred them into small rubber particles, and then you can sell to people who are maybe building playgrounds. We've seen this even at stadiums, where this rubber is spread on the pitch. So that is where you can sell this specific one. So if you can be able to afford the machinery, or the kind of machinery that can help you shred into the tires into crumbs, and then find a way to sell, you can do so. Yes, and you can also do, like I said, you can also do your due diligence in that area. And the last category, or the last waste in our list, is textiles and fashion waste. Textiles and fashion waste, that's one of the waste that you can look into. You can have offcuts. Tiles can also fall under construction. With tiles, like you mean floor tiles, and both floor tiles and what do you call roof tiles. Yes, construction waste, exactly. Yes, definitely. So you can look into finding ways in which you can collect that waste. Textiles and fashion waste. From tailors, you usually have offcuts from tailors, from garment factories, tailors, people who make uniforms, all those different things. So I've seen there are people who take these offcuts and then they turn them into something. Some they piece together this offcuts into another another clothing, or another clothing. Or they take this, they turn it into another form of craft, and all those different things. So you can look into that and say, okay, how can I use, for ladies, I know there are ladies who actually use, in our country we call it leteitsi, the traditional cloth. They turn it into various products, earrings, bracelets, necklaces. They take this waste they can take waste from tailors and turn it into something that is of value, that can be sold to people. So you can look into that, into recycling, right? So that was the last category. If you have any other ideas, any other categories that we might have not covered in this live, please, you are welcome to share in the live. Thank you so much, TT, for engaging with the live. I appreciate your participation. But let us have more people engage in the life. Say, oh, I actually had this idea. One day somebody can get into manufacturing, into recycling this, or into collecting this, sorting this, into processing this. And like I said, the most value is in processing. If you can be able to have ways in which you can process waste and into something that you can resell, that is how you can get most of the value. So you mean for waste? For waste, maybe, yeah, in the future, not anytime soon, because in the first life we did logistics. The second life we did agriculture, and now we're talking waste management. The next one I'll announce, or you just look out for my flyers online, or like I said, join the group, the Innovative Room. That is where I always post updates, where we have discussions related to this. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll appreciate that very much. If you don't mind, please, my number is in the bio. Please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I would definitely love to connect with you. So yeah, if you have any ideas, please share. We are coming at the end. We are at the end of our live session. We didn't cover everything that I had prepared, so probably we'll need to have another live session where we do an extension of this. We delve in, we dive in deeper. But basically, those are the opportunities that we have. So yeah, thank you very much, TT. Please, if you have questions, drop your questions. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please do throw them into the comments. But just to do a quick recap, is, first things first, we quantified, we talked about the waste, the numbers, the real numbers behind waste in Africa, the real numbers behind waste in the world on a global scale. And we say that about 250 million tons. That's where Africa stands. We stand at 250 million tons of municipal solid waste, and we defined MSW, municipal solid waste, as waste that is produced by human beings. Wherever you see human activity, this is where you find municipal waste. And we said that about 36%, only 36% is collected. Around 36% is well collected in Africa, meaning 64% is not managed well, 64% is not collected well. So that on its own, 64% of waste, that should ring a bell in your mind, that there is need for you, some people like you, to come in and say, I can be able to deal with this waste and turn it into a valuable product that people can use continuously. As people are generating waste, the waste in that product, I can collect it, return it into something they can use again. So we can keep that system rolling. We can keep the value circulating. So we talked about that, and then we talked about the fastest growing waste streams in Africa, which is your plastics, your e-waste, your construction and demolition waste, and your organic waste, right? And then we then got into the waste value chain, and I told you the whole value chain, and I gave you some ideas into those in those value chains, right? And then we now got into the various waste categories and the various opportunities or business opportunities that you can tap into in those categories. So if you are just joining now, you are finding us at the end of our live session. We are talking about waste. We're talking about waste management in Africa. So if you just missed it, I'm very sorry, but I will encourage you, if you just joined, if you don't want to miss our future live sessions. This was a very informative live session, by the way. We talked about waste management, the different businesses and opportunities that you can do both in Botswana and countries in Africa, South Africa, Namibia, and all various countries in Africa. We quantified where Africa stands basically when it comes to waste management and waste generation. So I didn't only just focus in the country that I'm in, I talked about Africa, and I gave examples like the lady in Kenya who is turning recycled plastics into bricks, into paver bricks that are reported to be 5 to 7 times stronger or tougher than traditional paver bricks. So we talked about all these different things, various businesses that are being carried out across Africa that have innovative solutions around waste management. And majority of the first part of this session, we were talking much more into understanding or trying to change your mindset into viewing waste as a money asset. Businesses in waste are one of the businesses that are deemed as boring businesses people don't want to deal with waste. But if you find, like as I said earlier on, you find various um, interviews by interviews of billionaires. They will tell you, most of them will tell you, I made money just out of waste. So people who are going to win in waste management are those who are going to step in and say, I'm going to deal with this or this problem that a lot of people are not willing to deal with, and people are going to pay me for that. So if you want to be notified of future life events, please join the Innovative Room community on WhatsApp. The link is in my bio. If you are having struggle with the link, my number is also in my bio. Just reach out and I'll get you added into the group. I'll get you added into the group. That is where we carry out various discussions around various activities. We don't just deal with waste management. We deal with various categories. In our first life, we talked about logistics, especially the opportunities that are created by the world-based storage that has been set up in the world-based storage that has been set up in Namibia. World-based Bay, 1.6 million oil storage in Walvis Bay that is going to attract close to a 550 fleet of oil tankers that are going to be transporting that fuel from Walvis Bay to Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia. So that video is there, it's pinned. If you've never watched it, it's there, it's pinned in my profile. You can go watch it. So in our first life, we're talking about opportunities that are created by that activity. That's number one. Number two, we talked about agriculture, understanding the whole agriculture ecosystem. We talked about understanding the whole agriculture ecosystem and where you can fit in. And one of the major takeaways from the second live session was that when you think about agriculture, don't just think about the farmer or going to the farming, or owning cows or owning livestock. Think about your transportation, think about logistics, think about cold storage, think about branding and packaging, processing of agricultural goods, because this is where the value is. In Botswana here, as we know, we import a lot of things. We import a lot of agricultural agro-processed goods that we ourselves could process ourselves and sell to shops, but there are challenges around that because of the infrastructure, the machinery that exists currently. So we do not have the operational. Consider talking mineral beneficiation in Botswana. Yes, I'm going to, it's one of the future topics I'm going to talk about. I'll quantify specifically if you are in Botswana. I'm going to talk about the mineral beneficiation and opportunities that exist in Botswana that were published by the BITC, and then I'll do also a little research into other countries in Southern Africa. And then as I said, in our future live videos also, I have a brother, a friend in Nigeria, who is also into the same kind of content that I'm into. He is currently doing his MBA. He has studied economics, so he understands how economics works, and he has been creating content about economics in Africa. So those are one of the people that in our future live sessions, I expect them to join into this live and educate you about economics, what is happening around around Africa, around Africa. He will be more focused more on the Western Africa area. I'll be more focused on the Southern Africa area, since I understand this side better than he does. But when it comes to African economics as a whole, he understands that better. And I'm still early in the journey of learning economics and how economics works specifically. So if you want to know who he is, you can check him out right here on TikTok. It's called Africa Trade Bro. Africa Trade Bro. So it's called Africa Trade Bro. So you can go check him out. Look at the content that he's talking about. He talks about the AFCFTA, one of the concepts that I've created or a video about, which is basically the free trade area, free barrier free trade area in the whole of Africa that's going to unlock a $3.4 trillion market. So you can go explore that. We will talk about that in future videos. It is a good one considering that Anglo American is looking into Botswana diamonds. Yes. So we'll explore those various opportunities, understand what is the current affairs around mining and all that. So if you want to get notified, like I said, join the Innovative Room, then you will know what is our next topic. But then also I'll make it a thing to post a post or a flyer on my profile, so you can see, oh, this is the next live session that we are having. We want to start this value chain in Botswana. Which value chain exactly, Monedi? Are you talking about the agricultural value chain or what? Or are you talking which value chain are we talking about exactly? Because we talked about various value chains. We talked about the value chain in waste management, the value chain. I summarized or give a brief summary of the value chain in agriculture. Which value chain are we talking about? And like I said, if you have questions, please. Oh yes, agricultural value chain. Like I said, yeah, we need that. It's necessary. And how you can identify key areas is you can look into the documents that have been published by the BITC, but you can also look at the import bill. The import bill will give you so much information as to what is being imported and what can we actually produce right here in Botswana. You have things like when it comes to mining, you have things like salt. I feel like we are underutilizing, or we're not taking advantage of the full ecosystem value chain of salt mining, because salt is mined and then it's transported to other countries. We have very few entities that process salt into various things, not just salt that we cook, iodinated salt that we cook with. We need people who can be able to turn the salt into, say, animal feed. You see, so yes, the agricultural value chain in our future. Our project is Botswana Economic BTP, a new startup in piggery. Oh, so you are one of the people who's under the BTP. That's interesting. It's interesting. I would like to know more about that. I'll be interested to know more, if you don't mind sharing. Not here specifically. You can reach out to me, and I would really be interested in knowing more about that. It's a very interesting one. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. So, just a quick question about the BTP. I think I was doing some reading. Are they still going to open up more? Yes. Are they still going to open up for more projects to come in, or it's just the 186 and that's it? I want to understand that. I think it's better hearing from somebody who is part of the program, so that young people who are part of this life can be able to know that and if there are ideas that they need to start getting to work on right now as soon as possible, or people who have businesses can start preparing themselves for if there's any future selections that will take place. Please do indicate, Munidi, if uh, opportunities in that area exist, so people can start positioning themselves as early as now. So yes, please throw in any questions you have. Today we're talking about Africa waste management. I think we're close to. Oh, they'll still get more from the 7,000 ideas. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the clarification on that. So, please, I would be very much interested in connecting with you, Munedi, and hearing your story. I'm usually intrigued by stories of our fellow African entrepreneurs or fellow African people who are. How do we get in touch? You can either give me your number in my inbox, or my number is there in the bio. My number is there in the bio. Just get it and send me a text on WhatsApp, and then we can connect from there. But if that's so much of a work for you, just send me a message right here on TikTok. Say hi, it's Munedi. You can reach out to me on this number, then we can start talking from there. I'm really much interested. I've been seeing a lot of innovative ideas right here from Botswana, in our sister country, South Africa, that I feel like some of them can be adopted here in Botswana. And one of them, one of the most interesting ones, by the way, one of the most interesting ones is Skubu. I don't know if you guys have seen Skubu. Skubu, that when I saw that idea, I was like, wow, that is my contacts. Like you sent to me in the inbox, right? Or I'll just text you after the live, if you haven't. So I was still talking about Skubu. Skubu is what Skubu did is they have special IoT machines that they buy basic household food items, and also basic household items. Yes, the school concept, it's a very beautiful concept. It's a very beautiful concept. When I saw it, I was like, wow, the young man behind that concept is so brilliant. Is so brilliant, because he realized that actually I saw his story on his profile, and he was saying how he came about that idea is as he was going around his township, he was seeing a lot of plastic, a lot of packaging, right? And his argument was basically, this packaging is unnecessary. People don't need this packaging. People actually need the content. They need the food. They don't need the packaging. And this packaging is creating so much waste. So he said, why don't we eliminate the packaging? Because also, if you do your research very well, packaging constitutes or takes up quite a huge amount, or a huge percentage of the commodities price. So if you have a rice packaged in a plastic, you're pretty much sure that the packaging was one of the expensive things in that caused its price to go up. So he said, let's take away the expensive packaging, let's remove packaging, get food items in bulk, put them in these IoT machines, and people can just come with their containers, and collect. Come in that and collect. And I've seen people, somebody comes in with just 100 rand, and they are buying groceries that can last them a very long time. I'm like, wow, this guy is brilliant. So those are one of the stories. I love these stories. That's why I was like, we need to connect. I love hearing these stories, seeing the journeys. One other story that inspired me, also from South Africa, is the Singwa Setu. That Stockville, where a man, I don't know whether he retired or what, he's a professional. He came together, he gathered people in his community, over 1,000 or so, 1,500, I'm not sure the exact number. People who were receiving. Roronoa, thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the rose gifts. I appreciate that. Yeah, so wow, you're really inspired. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm inspiring you. You're getting inspired. So he gathered. What happens is there's a specific amount of money that the old people receive. They are given in South Africa, like 300 and is it 300 rand or 350 rand. So this guy came in and said, you can this 300 rand, you can actually invest this 300 rand, and we can come together and open something that is going to feed you. So they came together. I think they are around about one. I'm not sure about the exact number, 1,500 or so. They came together with that 350 rands. They did the necessary agreements and all that, and then they opened a butcher. Just like, I think, is it last year or so? Last year or last, I'm not sure exactly when. They opened, not a butcher, a bakery, sorry. They opened that bakery and they packaged the bread in their branding, Singwa Setu. And Singwa Setu it's a company that is owned by that whole community. And how they do is, after opening that bakery, they hire the same people in that community, number one. Number two, they sell to the various spaza shops in that same community. So you see, they are feeding the community, they are creating jobs for the community. And so a lot of people now were now more excited to invest in this, because now the returns from the business, those profits were being split and they were going to these people, they were feeding these families. These people were being hired, having jobs, people who were unemployed, they were being so these are one of the models that I really wish that in Botswana, in Africa, we can all come together and follow these models, follow these models and say, enough of us Africans being labeled as people who don't want to work together. And let us actually, we are seeing with this Stockville I'm talking about, not just the Stockville, there's a group of young people that came together and they created a shoe brand. And then they opened a factory with their sewing machines in there, and they came together, they pulled their resources together, and they created a shoe brand, and they are marketing and they are selling it. The profits go to them. They are the ones, they have jobs in that thing. So you see, I really love these stories because they inspire me they really inspire me as an African, as an entrepreneur, to see that it's actually possible to do some of these things. It's actually very, very, very possible to do these things. So we too need to look at these stories, even right here in Botswana. We need more of these stories to come alive. There are a lot of people here who are making waves, who are coming up with innovative and brilliant solutions. We need to see them. We need to have them come online and say, this is what we are building, this is what I'm building, and inspire other people to say it's actually possible, it's doable. You just need to have the right mindset, you just need to have the right tools. So yeah, we are at the end of our life. Again, I'm going to reiterate, if you want to be notified of our future live sessions, please go to the bio, click the link in the bio and join the Innovative WhatsApp group. Just go there and click join the Innovative WhatsApp group, or just text me right there on just text me. My number is there in the bio. Yes, I agree. The seed for a mindset for abundance, definitely. Yes. One thing I've realized during my attachment is that we have a broken supply chain. Most of the mining equipment is ordered from. This one is a okay. Let before I close, let me talk about this one. This one is it's a challenging one. The lead. It's a challenging one. It's not easy to deal with it. A lot of people have tried. I also had what that idea. I was like, how can we do it? It's not easy because why? Number one, the equipment that are being used in our mining equipment, our plants in the country, manufacturing plants, or say power plants, especially the Morukule BPC Morukule power plant. They are supplied by these companies, and when they supply, the contract says supply and maintenance. So it means they are the ones who are authorized to maintain that equipment, right? To maintain that equipment. And when they come and service this equipment, they gatekeep that information from the locals. So at the end of the day, when that equipment damages, the locals, the people working in those mines themselves, don't have that knowledge. So they gatekeep that knowledge so that they can keep on coming back and servicing. They can keep that contract. They need to keep that contract running. Because if they give out their information, then it means that the contract ends. So it's not easy to move them out. What we can try and do though is try and partner with them. If possible, the government can form contracts with these companies to say, we're going to set up training centers. We are going to train our local people on how to maintain and fix these equipment. Maintain and fix this equipment and get people in our country certified by those companies. That I think maybe that's as close as we can get to that, but it's not, genuinely, it's not an easy thing. I have to be honest with you. It's not an easy thing. So, but like I said, something not being easy doesn't mean it's not doable. It can be doable. You might have a brilliant ideas to, okay, this is how we can go about this thing. We need more people who are knowledgeable in making these equipment, right? And part of that is doing what China did. The Chinese are brilliant people. They said, okay, you won't teach us how to make your technologies. It's fine. We'll buy your technologies, we'll dismantle them, see the different components, how they are made, and then we will create our own using our own materials. So that's what the Chinese did. That's why the Chinese are that's basically what they do. They just take, disassemble, and then reverse engineer. They reverse engineer them until they get the same product under the same brand, under a different brand or different materials. So those are just one of the few ways that we can do that, Mr. The Lad. Mr. The Lad, those are one of the few ways we can try as much as possible to combat. But like I said, it's not easy. If you want to look into it, please look into it and do your research into it. Find out different ways. Try and find different stakeholders that you can engage. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Um, Tripa said, as I completely agree, the seed for a mindset for abundance definitely needs to be so. Yes, that is why I said we don't have enough of people who are succeeding, coming here and sharing their stories and telling people this is actually how we succeeded. These are the challenges that we went through. This is how we overcame those challenges. We need more of these stories as we are seeing them coming out here and there in our country, in other African countries that are inspiring young African entrepreneurs to know that it's possible and it's doable. So, guys, I've been yapping for close to 2 hours, 10 minutes. So, allow me to close the live now. It was an honor. It was a privilege interacting with you, sharing information on this platform. Look forward to our future live sessions. A post will be made and will be posted in my profile. And if you also want to engage in these conversations, go deeper now in these conversations where you need to join our WhatsApp group called the Innovative Room. The link is in my bio. Go there, click it, and join the group. This is where we discuss these opportunities on almost a daily basis. We don't talk just about waste management, like I said. We talk about various sectors and trying to understand from research, from research and from public available knowledge. We try and break down the documents and make them accessible for you. Try and understand what do these documents say, because most of the time you'll be listening even in seminars, even in talks or in interviews where important discussions, you find a finance, what do you call it, a finance specialist is being interviewed and they are talking about a concept that affects the normal Motswana who doesn't understand economics, yet that person is speaking in a language that a normal Motswana cannot understand, or a normal person doesn't understand. So that means that we need people. That is why we created this platform. We need people who can be able to take these complex concepts, we break them down and ensure that everyone can be able to access and understand. You see, can be able to understand these concepts. How do we how the input bill, all those different terms, how did the interest rate, how do interest rates work in a simple language that affects and related to what they do on a daily basis. We need more people to come on here and educate. That is why I created this platform, to educate and make all these opportunities accessible for everyone. To make these opportunities accessible for everyone. Right? That is the purpose even of the WhatsApp group, where we discuss, try and break down these concepts, and then we see, and then you look, okay, I'm into this sector, these are the skills that I have in these opportunities, this is where I can apply my skills and get paid. The economy that we're in today is a value-led economy. It's no longer, we're past that economy where you basically know that or be guaranteed to get a job. We are past that. Nowadays, to get a job is uncertain. So it's because now AI has come as is disrupting the market. Not just AI, specifically here in Botswana, the economic challenges that we are having right now. It means that people are holding their pockets. They don't want to hire anymore, or if they're hiring very few people, right? If they're hiring very few people. Many people are being laid off. We do know of people that have been laid off lately from their works. So it means that if you want to make it in this economy, you need to be able to be somebody who can be able to provide value. And I've said, you always have something within you, something inside you that is unique, that you can take, package it, and offer it to the marketplace. Everyone has that. You just need to sit down and discover it. Now the problem with that is a lot of people spend time here on social media. Spend time on social media, and social media is good. Like we're engaging here, we're educating each other. It's good, but I always encourage people, let's use social media well with constraint. You should have time for yourself, say 5, 10, 30 minutes or an hour where you are not touching a gadget. You are thinking about your life, you are conceptualizing what can I do. Try and understand yourself better, because it's in those silent moments, it's in those quiet and silent moments that you'll be able to look inside of yourself and be able to see yourself better and identify your abilities, the abilities, your innate abilities that God has created you with, that you can take. Every gift, every skill, everything has value. I will create another, in one of our live sessions, we will talk about that. Every gift has a value. This is one of the things that I've learned from my mentor, Coach David Grace. Every skill, like literally every gift, has a value. More especially in this age of AI, every gift has a value. Whether it's the gift of speaking, whether it's the ability to think, everything. There are people that they have the ability to be able to think and reason and understand concepts easily and can be able to break them down to people. That's a gift that you can package, combine it with something that the marketplace values, and educate people, simplify it for them, and you get paid for that. So that's just one of the things that we discuss even in the innovative room. Like I said, join the group if you don't want to miss anything. If you don't want to miss our future live sessions, the group is in the group link is in the bio. Even my number is in the bio. So guys, thank you very much. Let me love and leave you. It was a very wonderful time interacting with you today. The amount of ideas that I got here, the people that I got to see, and I got to hear your stories. We talked about waste management opportunities. If you missed this live, if you just joined, you can always watch the replay. I'm going to ensure that I upload this replay for free on YouTube. Then you can go watch it there. My YouTube channel is the same name, Vicky Innovative. So go there. Don't just watch, subscribe to the channel, please. Thank you. So with that said, guys, thank you very much. I hope this has inspired you. I myself am inspired. I myself have learned so much from you guys here in the live. I've learned a whole lot of things that I didn't know before. So I hope this session was able to inspire you. Let us meet again in our future live sessions. Those who join the group, let us meet in the group. So cheers. I'm gonna end now.